Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk about something that I've heard other people relate to other things such as writing or art, but I feel honestly like this relates to mediumship and growing your practice as a psychic, a tarot card reader, a dream interpreter, whatever you can apply this to. So I call this the gap, and other people have called it that too. I'm kind of just taking the name and taking it for a ride a little bit. But to me, the gap is not just a place where sweaters go to die, right? It can be that, but it's not just that. It's something where we see what someone with skill, with the ability we're trying to learn, we see what that looks like. And when we try to imitate that ourselves, we feel like we're cut short. For instance, if I relate this to an artist, for instance, if I can barely draw circles, okay, and there's an artist out there who can draw, portraits very well in pencil or watercolor, whatever it happens to be, I'm going to feel like my own work doesn't measure up to that artist, right? I know what good, fine works of art look like. My eye is trained for that. But I myself, when I'm drawing, when I'm doing my art, or if I'm doing my mediumship or psychic practice, I see that other people have a mastery of it that I haven't yet attained. And this can do a few things, but one of them it can help inspire you and it can help motivate you. But the other thing it can do is it can limit your own belief in yourself. And the reason it's called the gap is because we know what we want. We know what we want it to look like. For instance, in our readings, we want to get names. We want to get the names of places, maybe addresses of people, or maybe how they're related to the other person, this side of the family, how much they weigh, characteristics of the person we're trying to bring through if we're a medium. And that's kind of like the golden, or the holy grail, right, of these experiences. You want to bring through things that people know instantly. You want to bring through evidence of life after death. And if you're a psychic, you want to bring in evidence that the person's story that they've had in their aura about themselves is actually true and it's valid for that person. The thing that happens is when we see these masters perform, we tend to get hard on ourselves after that. We tend to think that we're not good enough, other people have more skill, why should we even try? And to me, that's kind of where things start to fall apart, because I've fallen into that trap where so-and-so is so much better, right? But the thing is that each medium, psychic, or we'll call them extrasensitive people or individuals, each extrasensitive individual is going to have a different journey. They may learn from the same teachers, they may study the same books, they may feel sometimes the same spirit come through if you put them in a room, but they're going to understand it differently. Their inner psychic world is something that is so much more different than another person's psychic world. And as I was writing today, I said this. So I'm writing scripts. I'm trying to do something that's a little more structured for you guys. But I'm writing scripts, and this one here, we are not in a race to activate these abilities. That is not how it works. Okay, our psychic, our mediumship abilities. It will take time, and that is normal. We are essentially learning a language we have consciously forgotten. Our subconscious knows this language intimately, and our imagination is best friends with it. This language operates on symbols and deeper meanings, and this language is divinely unique in everyone. No two people will develop their gifts exactly the same way. Just as you cannot compare an apple with an orange, neither can you compare your psychic journey with anyone else's. Some individuals will learn faster, or at least seem to, and that's fine. But you are doing this for others to be of service to others, and another person's journey does not equate to your own. Hearing about how others developed is all well and good, but eventually if all we do is hear about how others are developing, then when we start to think maybe we can't do it because our stories are not nearly as fantastical. And I bring that up because as I was learning mediumship, this applies to anything, but I'm using mediumship as my example because that's my story. as I was learning mediumship, a lot of times I would think, the people that were born with these gifts are going to be much better than I am. They're like the elites of the elite, right? And that creates a very kind of twisted, skewed mentality in your head where you feel like you'll never be as good as so-and-so. And it's not even about that. It's not about being as good as so-and-so. It's about being the best you can be, but no one else can be better than you at being you, at doing your best. If that makes any sense, let me know. But that's something that these psychics or these mediums, they grew up and they had this sense of like, okay, you know what, when I was 8 years old, I was speaking to my grandmother who had been dead for 10 years, and I was able to see specters floating around in my school when I was a child, and I would be pulled out of body every night, and then I would be, great for that person that had those experiences. But just because you didn't have those experiences and I didn't have those experiences doesn't mean that your journey is any less valid. That's the thing, is we tend to idolize those stories, and we think that, God, it'd be great if that happened to me. And that's not going to happen with most people, and that's fine. The thing is that as we grow and as we learn, we need to learn to appreciate our own story, and we need to learn to appreciate our own narrative. And the mundane moments in a psychic or medium's life are actually what make it good. That's actually what brings in the spirit. That's what brings in this sense of purpose, right? And again, you don't need to have a fantastical story, right? And I know that there's mediums out there that, these master mediums, they go out there, they have a glowing third eye, their chakras reach to outer space, right? Combine that with charisma, and you have yourself a well-done medium. That's the recipe. But honestly speaking, it's something that each person has to learn. And this is where we're developing and we're blooming, right? And as we are blooming, as we are flowers, I want you to think of it like this. If you have a flower garden, all the flowers bloom, right? There's not a flower that doesn't bloom because it's self-conscious about itself blooming. The flowers each enhance the other one's beauty because each one knows their worth. And that to me is what's beautiful. The flower doesn't say, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm not as pretty as this flower. No, the flower says, I'm just as beautiful. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to bloom when I need to, when I want to. And that is definitely the steps we want to take when we're looking into mediumship. Just looking over here. I just don't want to take up too much time here. So, I'm trying to see here. The next thing I want to talk about is that each of us needs to be curious about life. The way that a spirit talks through a medium is through things that we've already done or that we know about intimately, okay? I brought up Albert Best as one of my examples. He was a postmaster, so he was able to understand zip codes, he was able to understand addresses, and he would bring that through. If you're a doctor or a nurse, you'll probably understand medical lingo a lot better if a spirit tries to come through. If I'm someone who's really into forms of transportation, maybe I could say, oh, your father drove this make and model of a truck or a car. Whatever it is you're interested in, we can use that, or spirits can use that to form a connection, and you can go from there. And the other thing that I want to talk about is how we can use imagination to connect to the spirit world. The way I like to think about it's like this, is imagine a map of the United States, and then after you imagine that map, you kind of let the image go. When you let the image go, you can have spirit come in, and they can tell you where they're from on that map, okay? I use it as a sort of vehicle for the spirit. You create the vehicle, and the spirit drives it. So whatever you create for the spirit to use, they can use, and they can tell you where they grew up, how tall they were, what side of the family they're on. There's tons and tons of techniques for this. And it's about finding what does and doesn't work, and the way we do that is we be gentle with ourselves. We focus on the development, and we let ourselves take our time. This isn't a race, as I've said in a lot of other videos, but we need to just take our time and understand that this is a process and this is a journey, and there's no rush for us to develop. So with that, you guys, I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. And if you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel and share this video if you want to. But yeah, any likes or comments or subscribing would be absolutely great and very, very much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for listening to me, and I hope to talk to you guys very soon.